Hello, welcome to the Everyday Ordinary Extraordinary Women podcast. I am Martina and I'm here with Christina.
Hello, everyone.
And we were inspired to create this podcast after pondering on this question. What will the world look like where we can be inspired by every person? Usually we are very quick to compare and judge ourselves and others. And when we do that, everybody's losing. So depending on my point of view, I can either feel small because I come out lacking, or arrogant and dismissive because I feel superior. And those are the only two options. And neither of those options make us feel great. So here's our thought. Someone's everyday normal is someone else's extraordinary. And judgment comes from first impressions. So we invite you, the listener, to go beyond first impressions and see the magic everywhere. There is inspiration at every corner, in everyone, if we are willing to look. And today we're here with Carol Denise. Do you want to introduce yourself? Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I am so grateful for you asking me to be here. I think that what you're trying to do here is beautiful and celebrating humans. I have been a corporate refugee since 2012. I used to be an accountant and then an IT director, and found myself moving out of that and looking for my next thing that I needed to do for me. When I left corporate, I literally had a Staples Easy button in my bag. As I walked out the door, it hit my leg and said, "That was easy." And I knew then that I was making the right move. So I have, since 2012, I have learned so much. I have been in network marketing. I have learned how to live a life through gratitude. And I learned that I am now a healer, that I was kind of thrown into healing school without them telling me that it was healing school. So I found that by releasing who I was and allowing myself to follow where I'm supposed to be, every day is an experience. And I am now the founder of a brand new organization that we opened up in August. It's called Circles of Joy. It is a space for community and healing. It's a large facility for multiple healers to come and practice their craft, and we're building community along with it. So all of those things are where our energy is right now. So thanks. I'm here.
Beautiful. You know, one of the things, and you shared that just a moment before we came on, but that I've heard you say a few times, it's just like that trust, and that is just so beautiful and so priceless that you were just willing to listen and step into whatever, like, just jump. It's like that saying, jump and find your wings on your way down, right? It's just like jump, trust so much that you're so willing. And I'm just blown away by that, right? It's like we could all use a little bit more of that. So, Carol, if we really knew you, what would we know?
Your first thing would be I'm crazy. And I have many people around me who I don't want it to sound arrogant, but they tell me that they're in awe of the way that I follow that guidance, and that I am willing to jump off that cliff and just take that leap of faith. that following guidance is how we truly step into our purpose on this planet. And we're able to then feel how amazing it is when you're in the flow of what you're supposed to do. Life is easy when you let it be.
When you get out of the way, right?
Yes, when you get out of the way and just go, oh, okay, so that's what I'm supposed to do today? Got it. Let's go.
I think we think we're supposed to figure it out in our head, but that's never where the answers truly come from. Not the good
Right.
one.
Now, let me ask you, were you always like that? Or was that something that did something happen that you stepped into that? Or was that something that you always did?
I have never followed the path of everyone else in the crowd. I grew up in a family of 5 children. I am the only one who has a degree. My oldest sister went to school for 1 semester, and it was such a struggle for her that my parents no longer required it as a piece of us growing up. And I'm like, whoa, time out. I'm still going, and I was the youngest. So I took that path, and that path has led me continuously to a different path from the rest of the people that I know, that I grew up with.
Which is beautiful in itself that your parents said, okay, this is not necessarily the right way because there's many ways, but still, like the question is like that trust and guidance, right? That
Yeah, I knew it. So here's a crazy story. I knew in 8th grade that I wanted to be an accountant. What 8th grader even knows what one is? My parents trusted my judgment and took me once a month, maybe. I don't even know how frequently we met. It was an organization that met in downtown Rochester, in where I grew up in a suburb of Rochester. They would take me downtown and drop me off in 8th grade at this giant building. I would take the elevator up and sit in this huge boardroom with people that were not 8th graders. And we would talk about accounting. That was just like crazy stuff. So I guess I kind of always have done things a little different than the rest of the world. And that was when I also got to stand on the street corner waiting for my parents to pick me up and saw elephants walking down the street. Because exactly, that was my impression. Am I seeing things? The circus was in town, and that was how they got them from wherever, probably from the train station or whatever, to the center where they were doing it. But literally all of these giant animals walking down the middle of Main Street.
That's awesome. So good.
Yeah.
So, Carol, I want to know more about how you went to healing school, not knowing you were going to healing school.
Oh, yeah. So in 2019, there were a lot of heart moments. I found out that my nephew and his wife were giving birth to micro preemies, which means that they were born extremely early and extremely fragile. Through that journey of asking people to pray for them and things like that, I realized that I had been growing a community around me of people of faith and commitment that were like, what can we do? Then also realized that some of those people were beyond gifted in the world of energy healing. And I stepped into asking for that help on a regular basis for the children. And they are 5.5 years old now. They are thriving. They are amazing. But during that year, I realized that there were other forces going on. And one of those forces in, first they signed me up to go to Egypt. And a month after, well, no, not even a month, like 2 weeks after signing up and paying deposit to go to Egypt, I go to a workshop for the Reese Thomas Institute, and it's a half a day, and they're playing crystal bowls and they're doing meditations. And I don't even understand this world, but it feels good. And then they start talking about this school that they're doing. And I'm like, I just signed up for Egypt. There's no way I am going to pay that kind of money and go to a school. And I just felt that I didn't deserve that. Um, and one of the women that was there looked at me and she said, "Why not?" And I went, "Oh, don't do this." I didn't even know that it was a healing school. I just knew that the one of the mantras, or one of the lines that Reese uses about his school, is it's life mastery and your life purpose. So I had that message in my head for 2 to 3 years at that point, looking for my life purpose. So I knew that this was what I was looking for, but I had never jumped off a cliff with that kind of tuition, for lack of better terms. And I ended up signing up for the school, and it literally started the next week. First day of class, they say you start at noon, you're submerged in this class for the whole weekend. So it's Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday at noon, we check in, we get oriented, and then we break into our smaller class, and they say, "So after dinner, we're going to do our first healing." And I went, "What? Who are you talking to? I don't do those. What are you talking about?"
Accountant. I'm an IT person. What do you talk about?
Exactly. I had left accounting and IT by then, but still, it's is not the persona or anything that I had no idea what this was going to do. But let me tell you what happened. So I did that first healing on somebody, going, what do I do? And we did 2 different ones that weekend. It was the same one, but we did it 2 different times. And then they're like, "Go home and practice this with," and they set you up with a buddy that you're supposed to check in with. Well, my buddy didn't want to do it. She was too concerned of doing it wrong, whatever. So I said, okay. So every person I saw and talked to, because now it's 5 weeks between our next weekend of class. In 5 weeks, I worked on 50 different people. I didn't know that that was a lot. I was practicing. They said to do it, so I did it.
You're
And
good
I
at
really,
following directions.
sometimes, if it feels good. But I realized that I could do this, and everyone I did was that much more interesting, that much more effective. And I started to really believe that this was something I could do. So I stayed for the whole 3-year program. I didn't just sign up for the 1 year. Well, you sign up 1 year at a time, but I kept signing up for the entire program, to the point where I actually took an extra year and ended up in their grad program. So yeah, I guess it's where I was supposed to be.
Yeah, such a brilliant story. And I love when you said the piece about not deserving, because how much does that come up for all of us, right? Like, oh, it's something I want to do, but I don't know if I deserve it, or I don't know if I'm good enough, or I don't know if that's me. But if it's
Or
called,
why?
That's a big one. That's a big one, Christina. It's like, it's not me. Like,
Yeah, like I
and
could yeah, I didn't mind signing up for a program that was like $200 or something, but to sign up for one that's a full year program, it's not $200. And I was like, that's just not something I did. So, yeah.
And it's the other part that I think is very, very interesting is that whole, like, it doesn't fit with my persona, right? And it's like, well, but that's just the persona. It's not who you are, right? That's just an image that we have created about who we possibly could be or we possibly are, but it's not the totality, right? It's just a very limited view.
Yeah, it definitely is. And so here's another cliff piece of this. Typically, people who would get into that program have done some kind of work with some kind of psychologist or some kind of inner work, and they understand what they're talking about, because this program is very much about working and healing the healer first. I had never worked with anyone from an emotional perspective, ever. So I had no clue what anybody was talking about. I was diving into the deep end and didn't even know that that was how deep that end was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of how I live my life.
Beautiful.
So not as it a leap of faith, but it's like a giant leap every time, because I don't start at square one.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. So what do you consider your superpower?
there's a few of them. The first thing that comes to mind is my ability to calm the chaos. I have a calming effect when I work with people. I can walk into a chaotic situation and be able to bring a level of organization to it that makes it calmer. I also am really good at connecting people to what they need, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing. And that is something that I have learned more and more how valuable it is to be able to just go, I got a guy, and know that I was going to connect them to exactly what they needed at that time. I don't always do that for myself, but I'm really good at doing it for other people. And then another superpower, I think I know that there's another one, and it's probably a really big one. But it's that leap of faith, I think, is probably one that you can see throughout my life, is that I have been able to do those things. I started working with a coach back in 2021. She's in Tennessee. I still work with her today. Um, I didn't know why, but I knew I needed to work with her. Didn't love her program, but I knew I needed her. One of our first meetings, we talked about what is it that I thought I should be doing. And out of nowhere, this is what happened. I said, I think I need to write. Okay. And then we let it go. Within 2 weeks, I had a phone call from a woman that I know who said, your name has been on my mind. I'm writing a compilation book. This is my 8th one. Would you be interested? And I'm like, I think I don't have a choice. And so I said yes. Saying yes is another superpower. Jumping in without knowing the details isn't always a bad thing, because you figure it out. If it's the right thing and it feels right, just figure it out later. Don't overthink it. So I wrote that. That brought me through so much growth, so many different layers I uncovered. especially when she asked me to rewrite the chapter. That's never fun. So I did rewrite it after like letting it sit for probably 2 to 3 weeks and just going, I have no idea where to start. My coach once again challenged me to find a way to unlock my creativity, and I hadn't looked at that as creativity. And I started to paint, which I hadn't done in 20 years, and found that by painting and then sending her a picture of that painting, she helped me understand, because she would ask me the hard questions that I'd go, oh crap, this isn't just a painting, is it? So I learned to unlock emotion through painting. I learned to be able to um, identify what was going on within me by what came out on a canvas. And some of those paintings were pretty amazing. And I was able to complete the chapter. I was able to go back and pull it from the perspective of I have been a healer most of my life. And these are the places that I have seen that evidence. And these are the hard times in my life that have broken me, but made me better in the end. So I had named the chapter Breaking to Better because I felt that that was truly what had happened in each of those instances. Not only did it show me that evidence of being able to be that healer, not fixing people, but being that comfort person and that compass for certain people. To the point where I like bawled my eyes out every time I wrote this freaking thing. And I rewrote it enough times that I could read it without completely breaking down. Not to say that other people won't break down when they read it, because my husband was very, very moved by it. Let's say that. And it was truly an experience and something I wouldn't have done if I hadn't taken another leap of faith.
And it's so
And I
beautiful
know
'cause it's trusting in your friend, right? Your friend who invited you to write this chapter, that she saw something in you that would be of value to this compilation, right? And then you were like, okay, I value your opinion, so I'm going to step in. But not only did you stepped into it, you took on a coach, the whole painting and self-discovery piece. Like, that's a huge journey, Carol. That's not just like, I'm going to write a chapter for my friend's book. Like, that's doing some serious deep dive work on yourself and coming out on the other
it,
side, not just with some new awareness, but with new tools too. That painting is a tool you can always use in the future, and probably something you can help other people with too.
and that's funny you should say that, because I also found out that you can get certified in that. So of course I got certified in that, and I do teach it. I just did a workshop last weekend on it, and found that I needed the workshop as much as everybody else did, because what we haven't talked about is this new center that I've opened. I opened it August 1st. So it has been no time for downtime since we've been hard at it since the middle of June, which doesn't seem like a lot of time, but it's been like a 24/7 thing. So not only does the art therapy unblock, it fills your cup.
Yeah.
So it fills you to a point where you just feel so invigorated that I turned around and on Sunday spent 17 hours creating.
Mm.
I could actually get into that mindset of being able to create things for the website, things for the center. I was just, I was so excited to just keep going. I started at 7 a.m. and finally went to bed at midnight because I had to.
Because the spirit
But
moved you. I love it.
So I mean, I love how every challenge brings me to a new experience and a new tool that we can then take forward to the next piece.
So powerful. So I'm going to follow up with what you just said and with the next question. What fills you up? So I know painting fills your cup, but what else fills you up so that you have it to give back to others?
People, people. I I love meeting and talking to people and being able to help them in so many different ways, whether it's through a healing, whether it's through bringing them into the center to be a community member, or, talking to them about what their desires are and seeing how I might be able to help them move a step closer to that goal. Just being able to be a part of somebody's journey, I think really helps me fill my cup. And then the other thing is travel, sitting on the beach, just no worries, no, um, you don't need your electronics, which I really need most of the time, because I love my electronics. But just watching those waves, just yeah,
Mm.
it's very tranquil and really helps me to just decompress. And by decompressing, you can then fill your cup.
So beautiful. And the beach, I mean, of course, the beach is like, that's the rhythm of the earth, right? That's just like being right there, and that I read up somewhere that, like by the ocean, it's almost like there's so much salt water that it's almost like it cleans you out in a way that nothing else can, which is so powerful. But the other thing that I heard as you were talking before was you're an anchor. Like it's almost like I don't even know how to explain it. That's the word that came. Like you anchor people. You're an anchor for people, which is just priceless, right? Because we live so much in our heads and we need to be anchored. We need to remember to just come down or walk on this earth, walk on this planet, and just be in our shoes, rather than wherever we're flying around. So beautiful. So
Yeah.
tell us about the time when you took a chance for love. And it might not be romantic love. It might be, it might not be.
So I think about that, and I don't feel like I took a chance for love, but I guess I did. I met my husband when I was 19. So I've been married for next week will be 42 years. He is not the type of person I ever dated. I was drawn to him. I mean, yes, I was only 19, but I had been dating a lot of different people during that time. And realized that what I craved more than anything was stability. When I was 5 years old, we moved into our third home. And then I went to school from that third home. And I lived in that home until I got married. But within my first 5 years of school, 6 years of school, I went to 4 different schools. Never had to move, but I still never had stability. Never had that anchor myself. Um, and someone else describes it as a soft place to land. So nothing was ever familiar. Things were always changing. I just happened to be on the dividing line for our school system, that it was like these 7 kids go here this year. Now they go here. Doesn't happen these days because parents would get crazy. But I think that by me going, okay, I've dated. I'm not finding satisfaction in these relationships. Let's see what this is about. And it was a very unique period dating him. Um, it wasn't a typical romance, but it was something that we knew was more than just a friendship.
Mm.
And he's allowed me so much space to grow, and he's supported no matter how much he has no idea what I do. He doesn't understand this, but he loves being able to take care of my needs. Without him, we could not have painted this center nor done many other things. He was a key piece of getting it ready to open. So we have a very different relationship from many people because we've never had children is one of the reasons. But also we got into it from a very different perspective and just knew that we were the right people to be together, weren't quite sure why. And I think over the years, we've been able to realize the support we give each other.
Mm.
And that you think I'm anchored, he's really anchored. So I spend my days holding people up and holding space for people. I can come in and be enveloped and know that I'm safe. So that safe haven I give
You can do what you need to do because he does what he does. That's beautiful. It's
And
just
I mean, it hasn't been all lovely for 42 years, as no relationship is. But as we get older, we continue to deepen that feeling and that bond of taking care of each other.
Mm.
So good. So Carol, if you had a magic wand and could give people any quality, what would it be and why?
Compassion. People need compassion. And I would ask them all to live from a place of gratitude. By having that daily practice of truly being grateful for where you are, what you are, and everyone and everything around you allows you that energy and that mindset to be able to feel compassion, to not judge, to be able to see things from different perspectives and really help people to grow as opposed to judging. So that's probably where I would see the number one thing that if we all had compassion, there would be such a gentler energy across this planet.
beautiful. So beautiful. Ah, that's so exciting. So, Nicole, you have a business. Do you want to tell us about it? Do you want to tell us about your space? How can people contact you? And we're going to put everything in the notes, but just if you could just let people know.
Yeah, so can I just give you a minute on how it came to be?
Sure.
So my husband and I also, because he's fully retired, I was partially retired. I have been in business where I do business from wherever I am. Last November 20th of 2023, I felt this need to speak at a meeting that I was at where they were saying, so what are you up to? And out of my mouth, before I could even stop it, there was this, I'm opening a brick and mortar healing center. And I went, who's talking? And I started to actually see the whole process and see the whole space, to the point where I had a meeting with my coach once again that afternoon. And I said, I don't know what's going on, but this came out of my mouth this morning. And her and I talked about it. And then she's like, Carol, when are you going to write all this down? Because I think this has got a whole lot more. And I'm like, oh, I know it does. So I sat down that afternoon and spent 2 hours writing the details as they came in. They were coming so fast and furious that within the 2 hours, 13 different documents were created that gave me the size, the number of treatment rooms, the purpose of the place, the type of furniture that would go into every room, what the energy was, what every piece of this was there. And they gave me all of it. And I went, oh my God, I'm doing this. And then I had
Just quickly say, I love that, like, yes, there's a reluctance, and then you're like, okay, like that.
yeah, you wouldn't have.
Okay, next step. Okay, done.
Yeah.
Next step. Beautiful.
Right. And then it comes with a physical vision of what it looks like. And I could see the giant windows. I could see what I was wearing. And I could see these banners of color. And I went, okay. So that vision stuck with me. Within 2 weeks, I had talked to enough people that I had been put in touch with a landlord for this building. And I knew that this was the space. And I was also very grateful that it was not yet available. So when the landlord told me that he didn't have a deadline for when it would be available, because the current tenant was having troubles with their contractor for a build out in a new space, I said, that's okay. I said, I don't need it before June. Again, what's coming out of my mouth? I don't even understand where these dates and things are coming from. So I did continue to just know that this space was mine, and then the landlord didn't. But I just knew it. And when I finally talked to a lawyer about setting up the legal portion of this business, she said, well, do you have a letter of intent from the landlord? And I went, what's that? I'm very naive. I have never had a brick and mortar. So I messaged the landlord and said, so can I get a letter of intent? And he's like, okay. The next day, the tenant moved out. So that tenant was chained until I made that legal decision so that they could unchain themselves from the space so that it was then available for me. So every now and then I do, energetically apologize to the tenant that they had to wait so long. But it was the timing that just comes to me. And people have different types of senses for their intuition. Mine is just a deep knowing. I have these things come in and they're out of my mouth, and I know that that is exactly what's going to happen. I signed the lease in June. And then we came in, the landlord, without us even asking, did all new carpeting throughout the entire space. It is a large 2,700 square foot space. We have 3 large treatment rooms. We have 4 smaller treatments spaces, a community space that's the size of a good sized living room, and an event space. So we ask people to come in and be a part of the community. It's community through membership. So we have different tiers that offer them different value. And we have multiple practitioners in this space. We will be at full capacity according to my guides when we have 13. And 13 is a magical number in the world, in my life. And so I know that that's why they gave me that number. I have been guided every step of this way by signs. When it's been hard, I am reminded to take a step back and realize that there's a different direction. If it's hard, it's not supposed to happen. If it's easy, here's what you're supposed to do. So that has been such an amazing gift. And it's also teaching me patience. And I just am grateful that I was asked to do this, and this will be bigger than just this location. This is definitely just our first step into this world of this type of center, because we are running on a model that does not exist anywhere that we've seen. So
I'm inspired
so
listening to you, Carol. It's actually kind of similar to my vision of what I want to create here in St. Louis. My vision works backwards because I want an outside area with a labyrinth, and I want a space that people can go outside after their treatments. And so for me, my vision of
in
these
New England, you can't.
moving backwards, I clearly
Yes.
see the backyard that I want. I don't really know what the inside looks
Yes.
like yet, but I'm clear my next space has to have a backyard or labyrinth so people can decompress before or after their treatments. I just hate that you have to just send people off when your session. I'm like, they need space to decompress. And
yeah, I forgot to tell you, we also have a meditation space so that they can go and sit in the meditation space and just integrate after a session.
I'm in love.
Yeah, we have a heated crystal bed for them. We have a touch-free massage chair that they can sit in. We have options. Yeah, so it's called Circles of Joy. I was given the vision for the logo, and because I do the painting, I painted the first version of the logo and went, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I'm like, but I really need a name so I can like go find a domain, start the website, do those kinds of things. And finally they gave me the name of Circles of Joy. And that's when I went, oh, that's why we painted those circles. Got it. So the website is circlesoj.com. Yeah, and we're just really grateful for such an inspired space. I mean, there's so many stories I can tell you about putting it together, about trying to do it on the smallest budget, and all the intention and all the pieces as they came together. And it is just so amazing to sit back and go, literally, I had like no equipment, no furniture, no nothing 6 weeks before we opened. And it opened fully furnished. Pieces came to me one at a time. Colors came to me. Yeah. Just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And you're located, you're in Massachusetts, right? So where in Massachusetts are you? Or how far from Boston? Like that's my only reference, so I'm sorry.
Absolutely. That is the typical reference. We are in Westborough, Massachusetts. It's about 35 minutes outside of Boston. So it's not a horrible trek, but it's depending on traffic, depending on the time of day, it could be just about anything. But yeah, we're I think it's 23 miles outside of Boston, maybe. And it is right on Main Street. We're in a building that was built in 1900. And we have half of the first floor of what used to be a bank.
Wow.
Every room has natural light. I mean, just people come in and they just go, oh God, I need this. Just walking through the door, they can feel the shift. And that just fills my heart.
It fills ours too. Carol, we want to thank you so much for bringing your magic to this program today. Thank you for your commitment to healing, for creating your amazing center. Everyone go check out Circles of Joy if you're in the Massachusetts area. I look forward to maybe scheduling it in my Adirondack visit next summer. So we'll see. I have a
Oh,
house
that
in
would be
Essex,
awesome.
so maybe I can finagle that. So thank you again for being here with us, for sharing your vulnerability, for your groundedness and your trusting of the universe, which is such an important message. Thank you everyone for listening today. If you love this, please leave us a review, share with your friends, and please always remember that you rock and you are extraordinary. Until next time, have a wonderful day.
Bye for now. Carol, you want to say bye?
Bye. Thank you so much. I hope that you all have an amazing, amazing day and celebrate yourselves.
Mhm.